Hello, my friends, and welcome back to The Gun Show. But this isn't The Gun Show you saw for 60, 70, 80 episodes. This is the VIP edition. VIP edition. That's right. This is The Gun Show VIP edition. If you're first time watching this show or listening to this show, we are humanizing manufacturing. Everything that's around us, the cool stuff that's sitting on the table right now, the TV that's behind us, the satellites in the sky, the plane that brought me here, the car that brought Nathan here. Wait, I didn't introduce my guest yet, but a car did bring him here. We'll get to that in just a minute. Everything that's around us is made by manufacturing, but we got to humanize it because there's currently just not enough people in our industry. So how do we inspire the next generation to want to be a part of it when all they really care about is just playing on that phone that's already been made? So we're going to get into the details of how this stuff is done and bring in some of the storytellers who have been a part of this journey, much like myself. So this is the VIP edition. Before we go any further, I would love to thank our sponsors. AMT, you are amazing. We appreciate you. We're also looking forward to IMTS this year in Chicago. Definitely going to be a big part of that. And my friends over at EBITDA Growth Systems, you folks are really helping out so many shops when it comes to balancing lifestyle and work. So thank you for doing what you're doing as well. Now, I do have a special guest with me today. I don't want to mess up his last name because it is cool. It makes me want to say it kind of sassy. His name is Nathan Peynado. Yeah, buddy, my friend Nathan is here. He currently represents with a company called MSC. You guys may have heard of it if you're in the industry. Kind of big. If you're outside of the industry, it's kind of the thickest catalog of just about any product you want to buy, and somehow these guys know most of the products, which is really intriguing. You got to have a lot of knowledge to know something like that. Nathan, my friend, is a metalworking specialist, and for those of you who listen to this show, usually the first question I ask is, how did you get here? What business do you have being on this show? You know, that kind of thing, right? Today, I'm going to go straight in and then go in reverse just a little bit to ask that question, but straight in with Nathan to go, Nathan, what the heck is a metalworking specialist? I think you have a definition that's more defined than the obvious. Well, I'm a specialist at working on metal. It's got to be more than that, right? Welcome back to The Gun Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition.
Yeah, there's a lot more depth to it than that. And funny enough, I did ask myself the same question when I saw the job listing on Indeed. What is a metalworking specialist? And I found out by doing it every single day. MSC, as you know, is a supplier of cutting tools, abrasives, lubricants, metrology equipment. MSC takes things a little step further by not just being a supplier of these tools that machinists and manufacturing companies use every day, but also supporting them in their use and making sure that the customer has the best tool for the job. And that's exactly where the metalworking specialists come in and add that value to working with MSC. So my role primarily is to support our customers, to make sure that what they're machining and the tools that they're using are giving them the most efficiency, the lowest cycle time, and looking for opportunities to save them costs. So we take things a step further by looking at their whole setup. If I get called or brought into a shop, I look at not just the tool that's in the spindle, but I also look at how are we holding that tool? How are we holding the work? What's your coolant concentration? What's the hardness of the material? I take a picture of the entire setup and try and solve problems and try and find out how we can reduce vibration and reduce chatter and some of the other things that happen in the machining process that take away from those efficiencies and tool life that we want to see.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm going to ask you in just a minute how the heck you earned that kind of title, so we'll go through a little bit of your background. But before we do that, I would like to speak with the audience right now and just kind of say, to follow up on your point, Nathan, is I would say, and I've been doing this about 25 years, so I would say about 25 years ago when I first got into this industry, I don't think I ever saw a distributor. I don't think I ever saw someone come into our machine shop. We just picked from catalogs and, hope that the wisdom of the elder generation that knew what they were doing actually knew what they were doing and had seen the new stuff coming through, or we just went for the lowest price item and crossed our fingers and hoped that we could machine with it, right? So what I've seen evolve, and you would see this more than me in your area of expertise, what I've seen evolve over the years, whether it's the machine sales guys, whether it's the tool sales guys, whether it's the metrology side of things, whether it's the work holding side of things, whatever it might be, it's now turned into a lot more of a supportive role as a team effort, right? We want to have a full turnkey process that we know is going to work, because a couple of these puzzle pieces, if they slip out of place or if they don't work like they're supposed to, then the whole thing can crumble. I've seen the best end mills in the world crack because the coolant was gummy. You know what I mean? So I think you sit on that side. Are you seeing the same thing, Nathan?
I'm seeing the same thing from my work. What I do now as a metalworking specialist, and even in my history as a machinist, I've seen that. You know, you go to set up a job, and this is the part number for the insert that we use and that we've always used. But cutting tool manufacturers, they come out with new stuff all the time. Almost every year or two, there's a new grade or a new coating, a new carbide composition that's hit the market, and now this is the best thing. If you're busy in your machine shop trying to get parts out the door, you may not know that this new grade of insert was released that could reduce your cycle time by 20%. That's where I come in. I come in and I look at your process and maybe even to pick up a pack of inserts and see that maybe something's a little dated, that we could just bring something in on test to try out, just to see if it works better. Bring in some updated feeds and speeds, make sure that tool's running optimally, and see if we can bring some benefits to the customer.
So we're going to get back into the details of some of that in a little while, because I want to get back into who you are, how the heck did you get here, that kind of thing. And as we're, oh gosh, I was going to say probing, but that does not sound gentle at all, does it? But as we're learning more about you and diving into your history, the first thing that stands out to me, although it looks like it's in the middle of your career, is machining apprenticeship instructor. So if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about your machining experience as you grew within this industry, if you wouldn't mind telling us if you accidentally fell into it or if this is something you actually wanted to do. And then I'd also love to learn more about what it was like to be instructor, and was there a passion there? Did you like working with the kids that wanted to be a part of manufacturing?
Yes. Okay. Let's go ahead and take it back to the beginning, right? Now, think back to teenage me sitting on the couch watching TV.
Just a couple years ago, right?
Just a couple years ago, before all this hair on my head decided to disappear. So I like to watch Discovery Channel, all those science-y shows, and I don't know if you remember a show called How It's Made.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
That was my first introduction to manufacturing. First time ever thinking about all these things that we use and touch every single day and what goes into making them. I watched countless episodes of that show and was just completely amazed at the thought process and some of the manufacturing processes that go into common items that we see all the time. So that piqued my interest in manufacturing. So fast forward a few more years, now I'm in high school, and I get invited to go on a tour of a technical college. They have a bunch of different programs, electrical, HVAC, welding, all these things. So I sign up and I take a few tours of a few different programs. And one program that nobody signed up for was machining. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew what a machinist did. So whoever was overseeing these tours ended up just randomly throwing a bunch of students in the tour for the machine tool technology program.
That sounds about right, doesn't it?
Right? And I happen to be one of these students. I'm looking at my paper, what's machine tool technology? So I end up going into this lab, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing some of the things that I saw on How It's Made. Completely blown away. And a light bulb went off, dots started connecting. I'm looking around, I'm asking questions, and I'm saying to myself, this is what I want to do. This is awesome. I want to do this. You mean you can take a block of steel or aluminum and just cut it and try and get to this shape that's here on this piece of paper and then measure it? And it was completely blown away. So that's kind of how, I can even say I fell in love with manufacturing, just the thought of being able to create and make things. So I signed up for the course. 2 years later, I started working in a machine shop, and things kept going from there, and just progressed throughout my career and worked at a few different shops, and I took away and learned things every step of the way, and eventually I ended up with MSC.
This is Shop Rescue.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Bryson. I am the Business Development Manager for the Americas for Blaser Swiss Lube. So Blaser Swiss Lube is a cutting fluid company. We have our headquarters obviously in Switzerland, but we have our US headquarters in Goshen, New York. Dave gave me a call. He was talking about a job shop. They need help. And when they need help, we want to make sure that we as a community and as an industry are there to support them and do anything it takes to make sure that they are killing it. We want to help these smaller shops because their success is our success, right? And then you watch them grow, they buy more coolant, we're able to help them. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
I want to learn more about your machine shop experience, but before we get into the machine shop experience, and I still want to learn more about the teaching side of things as well, I have to ask you, because I know my opinion on this, but I'm not going to give it right away. The way you described this tour going on, but nobody really knew about machining, right? And you stumbled upon it because of something you saw on TV. It was all kind of circumstantial, let's say. And how many kids do you think that are out there, if they were shown door number 3, which is machining, would feel the same as you, but just don't know about it?
I think there would be a lot. I think there would be a lot of people who have an interest in how things are made, or have an interest in manufacturing, or have an interest in technology, because manufacturing is a very technology-backed trade to be in. A lot of people simply don't know that machining exists as an avenue, as a career, as something that they can do to provide for a family, and it's just not thought about because there are a lot of other career paths out there. Some of them are a little bit more flashy, a little bit more glamorous than machining is. And
this is glamorous. What we're doing right now is super. No, I'm just kidding. We know what you mean. We know what you mean.
It is, but we have to let people know that.
Right.
We have to let people know that it is a glamorous and it is a fun thing to do. So it's just, I guess, publicizing that a little bit better and helping the newer generation get excited about manufacturing.
You know, I ask this question a lot, Nathan, and there's conversations all over our industry right now about how we're going to do it. And one of the misconceptions, or let's say conceptions, without the miss in front of it, is the dull, the dark, the dingy, the smelly, all these things that do still exist. Let's be fair. I just walked into a foundry not too long ago, and it was exactly what you would expect it to be. But I've also walked into a medical shop, just like you probably have as well, and you can eat off the floors if you wanted to. And I know it's a cliche statement, but it also is very, very true. So there are parts of this industry that are extremely appetizing, and we do need to amplify those parts. And there's a whole lot of people that also love working with their hands and getting dirty, you know, whether it's on cars or any sort of motor or on a machine shop floor, that kind of thing. I'm just adding on to your piece of the conversation because we do talk about this a lot. Okay, I want to know a little bit more about what it was like being a teacher, being an instructor, because now you're bringing in a world of hopefully excited kids, although I would have been the flunky that joined your class, but hopefully excited kids that want to be a part of it.
That was, it was a challenge. It really was, because if you do something day in and day out, you read a measuring tool or you read a blueprint, you know what those things mean. You know what the symbols on a print mean. You know how an end mill feels as it's side cutting a piece of material, right?
I love that hum too, by the way, when it's doing it right.
Right?
Yes.
You know how it sounds, right? The exact sound comes to mind when you think about that. And some of the machining concepts, when you have a book in front of you that is explaining it not in layman's terms, but in the exact terms that what the process is, now you have to kind of simplify what the process is and try and convey what machining is to someone who doesn't have those experiences, doesn't know how those feels feel and how those sound. You have to simplify it, and then in a classroom setting explaining some of these things and then coming back out to the shop floor. Now it's where we have to apply some of the things that we learn in the classroom. Now you start to see some of those connections. Oh, okay, that's what you were talking about. That's what this is supposed to feel like. That's how you measure this. And just seeing the connections and seeing a person's brain light up when they put it all together it's a beautiful thing.
Have you ever been a part of a conversation or been outside of the conversation but listened to it where the designers, the CAD/CAM folks, maybe haven't run that manual machine or felt that hum or heard that sound or felt that feeling, and they're in a battle with the machinists who do know that sound, and like, you can't program it this way. What are you doing? Have you ever been a part of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a theory, right? And of how something should machine, and then there's the real world. Sometimes the two don't line up. You can know that you should program this tool to go this fast, but what if your work holding doesn't justify it? What if there's a thousand different variables that go into machining something? So a lot of times the person who's at the machine knows some of those limitations and can adapt things. Usually instead of just going with what the program says, people turn down the override on the feed rate and RPM to keep the part from flying out of the vise. Yeah, you've been there. I've been there as well, right? So there is somewhat, I don't want to say a disconnect, but there is a more of a conversation that needs to be had between the operators and the person programming, just so that it's more collaborative and that the process can be more reliable.
Yeah, I agree with every aspect of what you just said, for sure. Thank you for clarifying that for us. All right, you've been in several machine shops. I have as well. I'm actually going to give a quick shout out to some of my friends out there. I went into a place called Paramount Machine out in Utah. And to your point, actually, Nathan, every single one of their machinists sitting on a machine is also a programmer. So when they're testing that machine and maybe using that override to go a little slower, make sure it sounds okay, they can make adjustments to the program, and then they know that piece is going to come off for the next 10, 20, 100,000, whatever it might be that they're running. And I think kudos to you guys over at Paramount, and also thank you for inviting me to your Christmas party. You guys are amazing. With that being said, I would love to hear, you can tell me a tragedy, you can give me a smile, you can tell me your best piece of wisdom, whatever it is from your machine shop days when you were surrounded by all of that purring and humming of these perfect programs that we're describing, even though they wasn't always perfect, of course. But would you mind describing an experience that you would like to share with the audience? And it could be a lesson you learned from something going wrong. It could be your favorite moment of a piece of success that you were able to create. It could be a teaching moment for another person if you want to. But you've had a extensive and elaborate machine shop career with a bunch of machines. So I would love to hear at least one story from those days.
Okay. So if there's anyone out there who is in a machining program or who is interested in the trade, this is a piece of advice that I'd like to pass along that someone gave me when I was in a similar situation years ago. So when you leave machining school, when you're in the industry and working, don't view it as a job. Don't worry about the paycheck. Think of it as a continuation of school. And for the first few years, the first couple of years, be a sponge and absorb as much as you possibly can. Ask questions. Take on jobs that are more complicated than other jobs. Look for opportunities to challenge yourself and to grow and evolve as a machinist. Because once you develop that cadence of being the one who likes to take on the challenging projects, you're just going to continue to grow and compound upon your wisdom. You're going to make mistakes along the way, and machining can be somewhat unforgiving at times, because if you have a part and 99% of those dimensions are right, 100% of the part is bad. The part has to be 100% to print. If it's out, if one of those dimensions is wrong, the whole part is scrap. So it can be kind of unforgiving when you get most of the way there and it's still not good enough, but keep going. You're going to make those mistakes, but every mistake is a learning opportunity, and you're just going to get better and better, and hopefully it's a mistake that doesn't easily get repeated, and you can just continue to grow in your skill set as time goes on. But be a sponge and try and absorb as much as possible. That's what I'd like to pass along.
Hell yeah. For those of you who are listening via audio only, I had to give my buddy Nathan a pound for that statement. I thought it was good. For those of you who are watching through video, you saw it. You didn't even make that audio statement. Anyway, all right, so we're going to talk about some of the technology advancements, what the industry looks like over the next 10 years. And I want to get into that because MSC is a leader, and you guys do carry a ton of products, which allows you to kind of, gel into these advancements from the industry, because you're learning from all of the different partners you have. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. But I actually want to start with a little bit of myth busting, if that's okay. Because we started part of this conversation earlier about what the industry actually is versus what people outside of the industry think it is, right?
Right.
So I think myth busting is a good thing for us to do as we segue into some of the more advanced parts of this conversation, because we do want to involve a whole smorgasbord of guests to listen to this show. The brilliant minds that are far more brilliant than myself, much like yourself, but far more brilliant than myself, and the newcomers who just want to participate to learn something, right? So myth busting. What's a common myth about manufacturing that you would like to debunk today?
You touched on this earlier, that people have this misconception that manufacturing is a dirty, grimy job in a dimly lit factory doing repetitive, low-skilled work. And that's not the case. Manufacturing takes a tremendous amount of skill, and a lot of the shops I've worked in, medical shops, aerospace shops, they're pristine, they're clean, they're air conditioned, right? Which is a huge deal living in Florida, right?
Yeah.
And these machines that you're working on are using advanced technologies. This is not an old traditional field where where that stigma of it being a dirty job exists. This is something where someone can come in and use technology and work in a clean environment and use computers and use the latest software to make parts that go to outer space or go in an engine or a submarine or I mean, the possibilities are endless. What manufacturing can do. That's a great misconception. And to the parents that are out there who have a child who is looking at manufacturing as an avenue, it's definitely something that someone can build a career out of and become successful, and maybe even start your own machine shop, or maybe work for some of the companies out there that are building aircraft or doing things that are helping to push the industry forward. There's definitely a lot of options, a lot of avenues out there in manufacturing. Every bone screw and medical device that's out there that doctors are using each day has to be made by a machinist. So there's a lot of possibility here in this industry.
I like that you brought that up, and we're going to move into some of the technological advancements. Sometimes I get tongue twisted with those adjectives or words that are more than two syllables. Do you ever do the clap when you make another subject, another day? That was back when I was in high school. I got to go into a shop one time, Nathan, that was fascinating to me. Have you ever played with beryllium?
No.
It is not fun, from what I hear. I've never machined it myself, but I went into a shop out in California, and for everyone listening, beryllium is a type of material that never really heats up and never really cools down. So they're using it in satellites because it can go to the opposite side of the moon or very, very near to the sun, and it allows these satellites not to become destroyed, actually, with the expansion and contraction of what hot and cold does to things. But I walked into a machine shop, and they were polishing, they were machining. They had some great machines in there. Some Mitsui Sikis were running a lot of this stuff, the high precision. Then they had special polishing processes, and everyone had a mask. And I was like, why? Is it the dust? They're like, actually, beryllium is poisonous, but only to some people. So you don't actually know who you are unless it's affecting you. So everyone goes into... So I bring that up because you're right. Every time we get to see something new that we take for granted, there's some sort of magic that's involved in what's going on and what's being made around us. So the next question I have for you, my friend, is can you share a recent technological advancement in manufacturing that you find fascinating or revolutionary?
This is Shop Rescue.
Hi, I'm Matt Schrawn. I'm the Vice President and General Manager of Juergens Inc., worldwide work loading and fixturing company. Juergens really helps small manufacturing shops because typically what you're seeing in small manufacturing shops today is they have high mix, low volume production. So what we can really help them do is on setup time reduction. I think this is more than just about the manufacturing community. It's trying to get people outside the manufacturing community aware of what's going on as well too. And I'm hoping that people recognize the value that manufacturing provides for the U.S. I mean, there's so many small manufacturing shops that start in garages and grow out of it. And I think we can really help support those people and the manufacturing community and outside the manufacturing community as well for the long term.
Okay, good question. So It's not I can't say it's a recent technological advance.
It got you too.
You primed me for that one.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not a recent advancement, but I think that the proliferation of this technology is something that I think is going to be impactful in the next few years. We've seen robot automation in manufacturing. It's been around for years now, right? But traditionally, people have always looked at robot integration into a machine tool as something that's viable only in a high volume, low mix situation where you're making thousands and thousands of the same exact part, and the robot does one job, pick it up, put it in the machine, take it out of the machine, and put another one in, right? But now we're starting to see more and more collaborative robots enter the manufacturing space. Robots that you can bend and that can operate around human beings without guarding, that take 10 minutes to program to put a part into a machine. I believe that by having these robots more and more in the industry, it's going to take a lot of loads off of operators. By having these robots next to a machine to do the manual portion of the machining operation and having them work as kind of co-workers in a sense is going to help the operator who would be otherwise loading a machine do other things. So now it kind of works as a force multiplier in your machine shop because this technology is there doing a manual process that someone would have had to have done otherwise.
Yeah, I like that. And have you heard about the 3 Ds of automation? The dull, the dirty, the dangerous. There's still folks out there that think automation is going to take their job. If I have a robot on a machine, then that's my job. The robot's taking my job, right? And so we're trying to remind people dull, dirty, and dangerous. That's what the robot's doing. The monotonous, the things that people have mangled hands, this type of stuff. And then on top of that, and I've seen this in multiple machine shops, and you probably have as well, is if one person can now run 5, 6, 7, 8 machines based on automation being set up, and it's part collection, taking it over to measurement, but it's still the programming side of things, make sure everything's okay, then that one operator is now making overall, as a consensus, more money for the company, which means that the company's making more money, which hopefully if these companies are doing it right, which I think a lot of them out there are, there's a trickle-down effect where that same person can actually make more money through automation because we have a labor shortage anyway. So it kind of all works out. Another thing I want to bring up, Nathan, and maybe you could correct me if I'm fudging these numbers in one way or another, but I heard a rumor when I was at FabTech last year that there's about a 400,000 person labor shortage in welding alone. I mean, that seems like a large number, but also a possible number. And what I really liked that you brought up is the ease of the software that goes along with the automation because, and don't let me throw anyone who's in welding under the bus because you're probably far better at computers than I am, but I think it's important that we simplify as much as possible because now we don't have degreed computer scientists having to program these automation cells. Someone who's running, say, a 3-man shop, a welding shop, can have a robot there and do that mundane stuff and allow themselves to get back to the creative juices that got them excited about the career to begin with.
Right. It definitely helps in a manufacturing setting because, like you said, the dull, dirty, and the dangerous. If you're doing a repetitive job, that gets boring over time. Let's be honest, right? But by implementing automation into it to handle your machine tending, to handle your part measurement, it just provides an avenue for something else to be done. So now that the machine's doing that, now you can be programming your next job or running another piece of equipment. It definitely has its advantages, and the return on investment for a shop is incredible. Even a job shop level where you think that the part mix is high and the volumes are traditionally lower, there is a place for automation in those situations because a robot cell could be set up with a machine tool to have that machine tool run into the night. So an operator will be responsible for making sure that tooling is loaded, that work pieces are loaded, and now that automation solution will run while that operator is at home sleeping.
I'm actually going to give based on that, I'm actually going to give a super quick shout out to the audience listening and watching right now, because you mentioned how affordable an automation cell or how profitable an automation cell can be, but a lot of times that's on the back end of the investment, and the investment sometimes can be scary to people, right? So I want to give a quick shout out and a piece of advice to the industry right now. A friend of mine, his name is Misa. He's in charge of a company called Formic. Formic is almost like your insurance for automation. They will get you the robots, they will set up the cell, they will prove that it works, they'll put it on your shop floor, and they charge the robot an hourly rate, like an inexpensive employee, only the time that it's working and making you money. So it's a really great way for someone to get into automation that maybe doesn't want to own something right away. And there's more details to that, and you can look up Formic if you want to, but really a great way to start off. All right, I'm going to get into almost like a 20-year span, and we're going to go forward and backward at the same time, Nathan, if that's all right. Because the next two questions I want to ask are what the future of manufacturing looks like in the next 10 years, but also currently, what are some of the biggest challenges being faced in the industry? So we're going to go, what does it look like in the future? And I guess kind of how we're going to get there based on the challenges we're facing now that we're going to have to overcome to get to that 10-year span.
That's a good question, right? So I think that over the next 10 and 20 years, we're going to start to see manufacturing leverage technology more than we're already seeing, right? There's a lot of solutions out there, a lot of technological advancements that have come up in the market. We're going to start to see these become more mainstream in the industry. And think about AI, right? AI has been a buzzword in the last couple of years, and we've seen some of the amazing things that AI can do. There are some software solutions out there on the market now that can generate a G code for a CNC machine using AI. That technology is advancing so quickly and so rapidly that we're going to start to see more of these solutions and these softwares come out into the market and be used by machinists. And the whole idea behind that is to try and cut out some of the time-consuming processes. If you have a tool set in your machine that you typically use, or if you have a machining strategy that you typically use, the computer software will pick up on that and program your parts similarly each time. So what that'll do is, again, free up more time for programmers and for operators and for machinists and for setup people to now do other things. And that kind of goes hand in hand to what you were talking about with the labor shortage, right? Machinists are not coming into the market as quickly as they're leaving. And I mean that not as people are jumping ship from manufacturing, but there's a large amount of machinists with years of experience who are close to retirement age, who 10 years from now, they are going to be on a beach somewhere or are off fishing somewhere and not thinking about machining, right? So I feel as if in the next few years, technology is going to come in and start to try and fill those gaps and make a person more valuable in that they'll be able to be more effective and be more efficient by leveraging the technology that we have available. So it's really going to start to take off. It's already taking off already, but we're really going to start to see it implemented across the industry.
Yeah, we are seeing a ton of that right now. So it goes into the next question, which is, and I think you possibly touched on it with your answer, to say what are the current struggles that you believe that we're facing? What are you seeing out there going into these shops, talking with the owners, the managers, the shop floor folks? What are you seeing out there?
This is Shop Rescue.
Hello, I'm Eric Oglads, VP of Sales with Aerox Technologies. We're a manufacturer of mist collectors. What made me really excited about this project is the fact that mist collection isn't always looked at as a product that makes you money. We wanted to participate and support the shop because that's not a product that they may go out and buy, having financial hardships possibly, and we want to give them that ability to have a clean, safe work environment. So I really hope the show opens eyes of the owners of some of these other shops that may be struggling, to show them that there is a way to do this correctly. Instead of trying to do the bare minimum for the lowest cost possible, you can bring up your quality and charge the price for it that you need to.
Right, Tony, we did touch on this a little bit before, and we've been kind of touching on it a few times, is the labor shortage, right? We need skilled individuals to come into manufacturing and see it as a viable career path. And there's a number of different strategies with that. Having been in education and seeing that the demand that machine shops had exceeded the amount of students in a class, right? So there definitely needs to be more emphasis put on this as manufacturing as an option, and there's a number of places it can start. I think that getting parents interested in manufacturing and helping them to see that this is a viable path, and even high school students. There's a shop that's local to here that's doing a really great job. They've actually brought a few high school students in after graduation and just trained them from the ground up to use a CNC machine to program, and then really invested in them to be a part of manufacturing. And I think it's a really good example for a lot of shops out there to kind of help to solve the problem, because people aren't just going to come to manufacturing organically, right? Machining is something that kind of flies under the radar that a lot of people don't know about manufacturing. So we may take a little bit of extra effort to try and engage with parents, try and engage with students who are coming out of school and maybe are not sure what options they want to take for their life. It could be a very, very good career path for a lot of people, but we really have to start publicizing that a little bit better and getting people excited about manufacturing.
We're darn sure trying. I promise you that. I know you are also. That's what this podcast is for. That's what the filming with MTD does. We are darn sure trying. We want to reach these kids for sure. So, do you like games, Nathan?
I do.
Okay, well, we got a couple of games coming your way, 2 truths and a lie, and then a sound game. But before we do that, I have one last question for you. Kind of a fun question. Is there something surprising about working in manufacturing that most people don't know? And I know we touched a little bit earlier about this, and we've been playing around the line of this area right now, right? So if there was something that you think that sitting outside the industry that is incredibly fascinating, as you and I are both trying to inspire more people to join manufacturing, what do you think that would be?
I would try and draw attention to everything, right? We're here in the studio. We have some amazing display pieces, right? We have a microphone here, a few different items all around the shop. You have a phone in your pocket. All of those things needed to be manufactured. All of these things needed to be designed. It takes people with skills to design and make these things that we use every single day. It's such a valuable skill that manufacturing is, that it's even a national security issue by not having enough people in manufacturing. So it's a fun thing to do. I definitely enjoy being in manufacturing, and you can have a hand in making some amazing components. I'm sure you've experienced this, Tony. You walk on an airplane, right? And they have the door open and you look at the fuselage and you can identify toolpath marks and you can see some parts that were machined, right? You can do that every day. Look at different things and see, okay, look, this definitely needed to be made this way, or just thinking about the thought process behind it, right? It happens every day, and just to know what's behind some of these day-to-day things is just, it's amazing, just knowing where everything came from.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to my friend Pro Shop Paul and hashtag Thank a Machinist, because exactly what Nathan just said, he had posted recently on his LinkedIn showing the tool paths of some of those aerospace parts as he was on a plane. And yes, we do see it everywhere. And that it is something you didn't pinpoint anything, but you pinpointed everything at the same time with that question and that answer. So that works for me. All right, you ready for a couple of games?
I am ready.
Did you get time to think about what your 2 truths and a lie are going to be? I got to be honest. On the first episode that we recorded, I got it wrong. So there's a chance I'm going to get it wrong again today. I always pause after you give me the 2 truths and a lie to give the audience time to think about what it might be for them. Okay. And then I'll give my answer. I'm gonna stare into your eyes to see, are you a good liar or a bad liar?
I don't lie often.
Well, we'll go figure it out. If you don't lie often, I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, it's good that you don't lie often, but we'll find out if you're good.
Oh, yeah, I'm out of practice, and my lying game is pretty trash.
I got to say mine is too.
All right, so truth.
Well, you don't tell me what they are. You got to just tell me 3 scenarios, and I got to guess which ones.
Which one is the lie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you do the finger
truth.
thing? Okay.
This first one's a truth, right?
Got it.
So this first truth is, I went to the highest restaurant in the world in Dubai and ate a meal. The second truth is that, second truth, right? Second truth is that I rode on an elephant in Thailand. And my third truth is I almost died falling down Dunn's River Falls in Jamaica.
Ooh. All right, audience, what do you think? Which one's true? I don't. This should be live sometimes, I think, right? So you guys can guess at the same time that I'm trying to guess. Leave some stuff in the comments and see if we could feed off of each other, because I think any of these could be possible, and I'll tell you why. Before we sat down and hit record today, Nathan told me about his amazing Jamaica visits. In fact, we're drinking Blue Mountain coffee today that's from Jamaica, where his parents met on the mountain, and he plans to go. So I'm thinking that one's true. The other two, I mean, that one could be a lie too. All right, I'm going to go with tallest restaurant in Dubai, or in the world in Dubai. And what was the second one?
Second one is riding on an elephant
in Thailand. All right. My vote is the Jamaica one, actually.
That's what you think is the untruth.
That's what I think is a lie. I don't think you fell. I think you have been there and you've done a great job hiking.
No, that one is true.
Oh, I should have stuck with my gut.
What was your gut?
Well, my gut was that one was true to begin with. That one was true. All right, my gut is the restaurant in Dubai.
That was also true.
What the hell? Can I say hell on this? I'm going to do it. What the hell? I think everything... Okay, so you have not ridden on an elephant in Thailand.
Right, you're not supposed to, because their spines are not built like horses are. They actually are pretty weak, so you're not supposed to ride on their backs.
Oh, I feel real bad right about now, because I was just riding on elephants in Bali. And that's a true story, and that's not a lie. Thanks for making me feel great about that one, Nathan. Okay, on to the next game. Maybe we're better at, because I suck at... I think everyone's just being honest, really. I think at the end of the day, and I just think everything's... I don't know how to play this game. I'm going to need your help. We're going to have to do this live. All right, on to the next game. Let's see if my sound engineer is ready over there. Are we ready, Christian? You are amazing. Christian is also amazing, by the way. You guys may get to see him at some point when he brings gifts on stage or something like that. Today we're having that Blue Mountain coffee. However, all right, first sound, Christian, cue it up. Audience out there, I'm going to pause. I'm going to have Nathan pause a little bit after the sound to see if you guys can guess it as well. So, Christian, whenever you're ready, my friend. Oh, I think I know the sound of that. That sounds like a familiar sound to me.
It does. It does. I'm trying to see if...
You can hear the way it kicks on and starts to spin a little faster and faster, and the way it dies down when it's off.
I hear it. It sounds like a saw to me, circular saw.
It does to me too. Like maybe one of those ones you hand grind apart or something like that.
Right.
That's what it sounds like to me. Is that your guess?
That's my guess, my official guess. I'm going with that one. Final answer.
Christian? Yeah,
right.
Good job, Nathan. All right, we got 1 for 1. What's our second one? We ready for the second one? Let's do it. Oh. Maybe it's that elephant from Thailand.
I think I know what this one is.
What is it?
This sounds a lot like a stamping press.
That would be my guess.
I think that you can hear the drop piece hitting the bucket at the end of it.
That is what that is, isn't it?
Yep, I'm familiar with this sound.
Machine shop guy, sound engineer. What do we think, Christian? He gives us a thumbs up. We're 2 for 2. Well done.
Let's bring it home, Tony.
All right, let's see if we can get 3 for 3. We got 3 on here. What do we got? Ooh. I think I know what that is.
I think I do too. Let's hear it one more time just in case.
I feel like when I hear it normally, it goes for a lot longer than that quick little cut.
Right. Cut?
It goes for a lot longer than that sound bite we got.
Okay, right. The clip. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said cut, and I'm like, wait a minute.
It's not cutting. I don't think it's cutting.
I don't think it's cutting at all. It sounds a little bit
It might
like,
be doing the opposite.
right. This sounds like additive instead of subtractive here. So I'm going to go with welding.
And? Hey,
All
sound
right.
guys, a 3 for
You got
3,
it,
Nathan.
man.
Well done. I love it. So that concludes our show. Nathan, is there any shout outs, anything you want to say to conclude the show before I do? Anyone you want to say hi to?
Absolutely. Well, I want to give a shout out to the entire MTD team. I feel like you guys are doing a tremendous job bringing awareness to manufacturing, making programs just like this that people are going to see on YouTube, listen to on Spotify, and really bring awareness to this amazing industry.
Wow, I wasn't ready. My heart is truly touched, man. Thanks I'm glad I asked that question. Thank you so much, Nathan. I do appreciate it. You, my friend, are a VIP guest. On behalf of all of MTD, on behalf of the Gun Show VIP edition, we wish you continued success in this industry, and thank you for joining us today, sharing with the audience. For all the audience watching right now and listening right now, we hope that you learned something and enjoyed the show. Also, if there's anything we can do better, by all means, leave it in the comments and let us know so we can implement it into the next shows moving forward. If you guys want to hear more from Nathan in the future and invite him back to the show, leave that into the comments as well. Nathan, one last time, my friend, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony. I'm happy to be here.